Hi there. Today we're going to talk about Siesta Key versus Longboat Key, and we have two perfect people for this because Kelly lives on Longboat and Fondren grew up on Siesta Key. So, gals, why
Yeah.
don't you tell us about life on Longboat and life on Siesta?
Okay. Kelly, you go ahead.
Obviously, I'm partial to Longboat Key, but one of the things that drew us there was how quiet and private it is. We live on the south end, and so we are only 10 minutes from downtown. So that was the other thing that we loved about it. Being close to St. Armand's, close to downtown, and just having that privacy so close to those areas.
Oh yeah. I mean, your views are
Yeah.
stunning. So I grew up actually on speaking of privacy and kind of that quieter side of Longboat. I grew up on the south end of Siesta Key. So Point of Rocks, which is very quiet, especially, I mean, I should say back when growing up there, it was even quieter. It was definitely the sleepy side of Siesta. And I guess if you're really thinking back, it has, even the village wasn't what it is now. I mean, now it's just changed so much. It's grown so much. It's such a popular destination for so many people, so many families, so many retirees. So it's grown tremendously. But I think, the way I still like to envision Siesta, and when my family and I go down there to enjoy it, we still end up going down to that south end.
Yeah.
And I know I've mentioned before, I love Turtle Beach and stop at Anna's Deli on the way. So, it still has that small not village, but small island feel without feeling so busy and touristy. It's just a great place.
Yeah. Well, and on Longboat, we have a little village too. It's at the north end, but again, just very quiet and private, even though it is the village. And that's where a number of the restaurants are in that area. So nice to.
What's the name of that place that we went for lunch today with the little coffee shop that has smoothies?
Oh, Turtle Coffee Bar.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love that place.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cute.
And we used to vacation on Siesta before we lived here,
Okay.
as well as on Longboat. So ironically, we would be both places, and I love both of them for different reasons.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, the Siesta Key Beach is obviously like a super
amazing.
Popular beach and beautiful.
It is. It's amazing.
And Longboat
lives
is
up to the hype.
Yeah, for sure, it does.
Number one beach in America.
Yeah. And Longboat again, gorgeous.
Yeah.
But definitely more quiet, not as like commercialized yet.
Right. Well, and we have half a dozen or so public beach accesses, but all of the parking for them, there's only probably 6 to 8 parking spots at most of them, with the exception of your favorite at the park there, where there's the whole parking lot. But even that, there's not very many spots. So yeah, it does have such a quaint feel, even on the beautiful beach. You're not elbow to elbow with any people. So.
Yeah. And I actually didn't know about that park until you told me. And then we told our friends, and I'm like, let's stop telling people it's a secret spot. It's so quiet there.
So now we'll tell you. So I think, one thing, especially for anybody watching and is considering Longboat Key or Siesta Key, and maybe you're in, the same phase of life that we're in with young kids. Kelly lives on Longboat, and she does have 3 young kids. So, maybe to that point, talking about getting to school, and you don't have to say what school, but what that looks like for you.
Yeah, and so we are districted for South Side, which is a great elementary.
It is.
And then for middle and high school, it's Booker Middle and Booker High, which are both well known for their performing arts programs. And so it is a little bit further of a drive to those locations, as well as to the private school options. But it's not terrible. And there are, for the public school options, buses.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yes. And we are still in Sarasota County, so even having Pineview as an option, while that is a bit further, being able to access that, the gifted program there, is great.
It's an amazing school.
Right.
I think it's always listed as like one of the number 1 schools in Florida. And I say that as one of the number ones because it certainly has ranked at number 1 for years. But I think it might stay in the top 5, consistently. It's an incredible school. So 2nd through 12th.
Yeah.
For that school, if anybody's.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So it's so it's a great option for families. Like I said, you're close to downtown if you work downtown,
Right.
but also is a second home retiree location as well. So.
And that's what's so great about Siesta as well. If you are looking for, if you're same as us, young kids looking at schools, they're great school zones for Siesta Key. And being that it's in Sarasota County, they're also on the bus route, which is so convenient and so nice. And we are just so fortunate. And, Sarasota, again, not to tout our number one rankings, but Sarasota County schools, as well as Manatee, even though we're focused on Sarasota right now, are A-rated schools. And we're so fortunate for that. So
so not only do we have this beautiful scenery, we have great schools.
Yeah.
With great schools, a great quality of life for, families and people who live here. So
Well, and I know that another question that I always get asked by buyers when they're considering Siesta Key versus Longboat Key is a lot of times people want to be able to rent it.
Right.
And so, I find Siesta Key to be a lot, more popular option when considering that, because the rental restrictions on Longboat Key tend to be longer.
Right.
There's a lot of great nightly and weekly condo complexes on Siesta.
Right.
And so there's a lot of potential income that you can make there.
Yes, that's so true, because, especially with different areas of Siesta. And again, if you're looking at whether it's a single family home or a condo, they're going to have different regulations. But Siesta, to your point, does have, if you're finding the right place, the opportunity to find like a nightly rental. There's great, great opportunity for that for people looking for investment properties. So excellent point. I agree.
Yeah. And to that, because you can't rent as much on Longboat, I think that you can sometimes get more bang for your buck on Longboat because you're not being able to rent it. So, when you're able to rent it and produce all this income, that kind of helps the value escalate a little bit more. And the units tend to be a little larger on Longboat, generally speaking, depending on what you're looking for. A lot of the condos on Siesta tend to be smaller square footage, even if they're still 2-bed, 2-bath. Whereas on Longboat, the units tend to be a little bit larger.
Right. That's a good point. And I think anybody who's watching and is looking at Siesta or Longboat, I think it's worth saying, we are in Florida. These are 2 barrier islands. So yes, of course, there is flood zone insurance required on both of those locations.
Excellent point.
Just to go ahead and answer that question before,
of course,
everybody does want to know. Are there any other Siesta Key, or Longboat Key?
So on Siesta, I just want to point that one of my favorite restaurants that I've been going to for years, even on vacation, is Ophelia's on the Bay.
Yeah, in South End.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I mentioned it.
Sleepiest.
Yeah, exactly. So, and
That's
I
amazing.
only heard about that from a local, so I don't know if everyone around here knows about that.
Right.
But
I do think it's a gem for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
That's still
right, like a local
special
hometown.
occasion.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. All right. Well, if you're looking for property on Siesta or Longboat or anywhere in Sarasota or Manatee counties, please reach out and give us a call. We'd love to chat.